Hi, and welcome to Gender Nebulous, Series 2, Episode 11. I have an amazing friend and guest today. This is the CEO of Transgender City, Bobbi Pickard. Hi, Bobbi.
Hi, Vicky. How are
How,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well.
You look very well. I like your new hair and the
Yes,
colours.
I
Very
decided
nice.
I decided blonde wasn't visually queer enough. I didn't want to feel like one of them. I wanted to feel like one of us. So I thought I'd go pink.
Yeah, so I thought we'd start with Transgender City, our favourite topic of conversation.
Yeah.
So the last time I did a podcast with you, it was 2021. I think it was January 29th, middle of winter.
Yeah.
And that was episode 11 too. So I think you have, I don't know, there's something weird going on here. You seem to like to come on episode 11s of my podcasts. It was back then, that was a transclusive one. Now it's Gender Nebulous. But
Yes.
I was just thinking, if we look at what's changed since then to now, it's like different worlds.
It absolutely is. There was so much change. There's been change so many changes in LGBT organizations like
Yeah,
Mermaids and Stonewall, Tea and Coffee. Back then we were still in the middle
yeah,
of lockdown,
we
in
were.
the middle of all the COVID rubbish. And Trans in the City had done like a sort of a few tiny events. I think we must have been in our third year then, something like that. Um, and we'd just gone through all that changeover to virtual and
Yeah,
doing all of that. And and yeah, we look now, Trans in the City's transformed. Um,
has indeed.
huge organization now compared to what it used to be. And we've done some pretty cool stuff.
So when was it actually originally formed? Was it? I think it was 2017 when you originally set up Trans in the City.
It was,
You
yeah,
and a few others.
2017. Yeah, I mean, me and um, originally it was me and Freddie and Charlie had a chat around a coffee table, and very quickly we got an amazing chap called Brian involved. And that's where it came from. Everybody thinks the name Trans in the City actually comes from Sex and the City, and
Yeah, well, it kind of has a similar.
they kind of think like, oh, I've done like a play on words of that. And I remember one anti-trans organization or person or whatever said like, oh, she's called it that. I don't think she even called me she, but she's called it that because she's like transposing gender and sex and doing like a clever mind trick on us all. Um, and it's nothing of the sort actually. When I used to go clubbing in the late 90s and early 2000s, me and my friends used to. That was when I first started doing trans
Yeah,
activism. Actually, we
yeah.
used to just go around different places. So we used to take photos and just call each adventure a different name. So it was
So it was
trans at the
basically you lot in the city enjoying yourselves. That's where it came
yeah,
from.
basically, we had trans in the countryside, trans at the seaside, all of that, and every so often
Actually, there's a few ideas there for spin-offs of the Trans in the
there
City brand,
is,
isn't
yeah,
there?
yeah. So it was actually quite a tongue-in-cheek thing. Actually, I needed a name for it. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to carry on our fun and games that we used to have in the early two
Yeah.
thousands. So
So since I've kind of been involved with Trans in the City, I mean, I think the first big event I came to was Trans in the City event at Clifford Chance in 2022. I think that was 2 years
yes,
ago.
probably. It
2021.
would have been
2020,
21 actually. It would have been the end
yeah,
of 21 with the like the
21.
yeah the reboot sort of in-person event because we just got rid of
Yeah,
COVID and then
yeah,
yeah, which is I think we did our first proper multi-organizational open invitation event at Clifford Chance as well. So it seemed to be a nice way to sort of restart after COVID, and all that virtual stuff. It was almost like a kind of go
yeah.
back go back to the beginning. So that was quite nice. But we
And
took
that event, that first one I went to, that venue, they have that massive big open kind
yes,
of foyer, yeah, which is really it's amazing kind
a
of
lovely
facility to do
place.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love it
And then you've
there.
got that lovely little theatre where you can go and sit down and
Yeah,
where the Gala Awards event was.
yes.
It was
Yeah.
it was really nice.
It is lovely. I do love it there. Obviously we did the East Winter Garden
Yeah. So last year that was different location, wasn't it?
It was. We wanted to do so. The East Winter Garden's the biggest venue in Canary Wharf. It's like 600 people, and we wanted to do something for our 5th anniversary. And it was really special. It was a really, really special event. And I think it gave a lot back to the trans and non-binary community. And
much bigger event.
In people from grassroots organisations, and in lots of cases helping them get there and helping them with accommodation and stuff. It's so important. The cost of that, I found
just for numbers, how many came to the 2021?
2021, I think, was 280 or so. But it's one of those. I founded Trans in the City to help put money into grassroots trans and non-binary organisations. And the East Winter Garden was incredibly expensive to do. We still managed to give away over £40,000 to trans and non-binary organisations up and down the country. The costs this year have increased by a third.
Wow.
So it would be £90,000 to run it in the East Winter Garden.
I mean, it was an amazing space. They had that big balcony at the back.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I want to do more for trans and non-binary organisations up and down the country. And so, we're doing a different approach this year again. And we like chopping and changing it and not
it's good. Keep it alive.
This year we're doing a whole festival of events, so we split it across the whole of the week with loads of different events. We're going back to Clifford Chance, actually.
I heard. Going back to Clifford Chance. I like that idea. I think what was really interesting about the Winter Garden venue was, the huge size, and the evening event, the gala itself was, there was 600 people there. I remember, that's a huge amount of people in one room.
Yes.
It was really, it was great to see so many people, come together for that event. There's politicians there. There was famous people walking around, which is always good to see.
You were there. I mean,
I'm not famous. I'm infamous, maybe. I'm not famous, maybe infamous. But it's really good to see, all the things that kind of happened during the day with the workshops and all the organisations that were involved with having stalls and doing presentations and all the Trans in the City led workshops throughout the day. I thought those are really good. Hopefully, we're doing that again this year at Clifford Chance.
Well, so we've got the gala and the awards at Clifford Chance. I'm really excited about the awards this year. We've got some amazing nominations. We just get starting to work through the shortlist. In the day, we've actually got another one of our headline headline sponsors, rather, JP Morgan. So we're running the conference at JP Morgan in an even bigger space than Clifford Chance with a theatre as well. So we're going to have a bigger conference and the same idea of training and people speaking throughout the day, so you can look around the stalls and dip in and out of training and sort of best practice.
So is that in a similar area? Is that close by?
All in Canary Wharf, yeah.
All Canary, okay.
Then the next day at JP Morgan, we've actually got a celebration evening.
Okay.
What I wanted to do was, so we have the gala evening and the awards. What I wanted to do was actually give the people that are shortlisted more time to talk about what they do and celebrate what they do, because they're such phenomenal people. I really wanted to highlight them. So we split it across 2 evenings. So the first evening is the awards and the Trans in the City sort of business of, what we've been doing and, what we want to do. Then the next day is a real celebration evening of all of the people that have been shortlisted and all of the trans and non-binary community as well.
That's nice to split it up into 2 separate events doing slightly different things. I like that idea.
It's a bit of an experiment for us, but I'm really excited about it, actually. And then the next day we're closing the London Stock Exchange again, which is the 3rd year we've done.
So is that on the Wednesday?
That's on the Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, because when you did that in 2021?
2021 was the first time.
That was the first time, and you were the first trans woman ever to be given that
Stock market, yeah,
responsibility, honor, whatever.
incredible honor actually, and
Yeah.
Julia Hoggett and Arlene at London Stock Exchange have really become amazing supporters and amazing friends, and they do so much for the whole of the LGBTQIA community, but especially the trans and non-binary community. And so it'd be really fab to come back and close the London stock market. Last year, I actually gave the honor, I guess, to one of my amazing directors who I love incredibly, Emily Hamilton.
Yes, Emily did it. Yes.
Last year. This year, we're going to get student ambassadors to close it. So we've started a student ambassador program, linking together every young trans and non-binary person in colleges or schools over 18, all together, giving them the chance to network, get to know each other, be mentored. We can show them all of the shortcuts. I've been doing trans awareness. This is my 20th year actually of doing trans awareness and trans activism. And I don't want them to have to spend 15 years figuring out how to do it. I want to tell them all of the shortcuts, all of the best practice.
So is that going to be, like colleges, universities, maybe people, who've just entered industry, maybe on apprenticeship schemes and stuff like that?
Absolutely. We're going to link all of them together, create that community so they all know each other, fund
so they get the support and help and training through their own organizations and Trans in the City.
Absolutely.
And they will become the future champions, leaders of ERGs and DEI organizations within companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great idea.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
So how, some young people listening to this now, how would they get involved with something like that?
So what we're trying to do is get them involved through their university or college or whatever, but they can drop us a note on info@transinthecity.co.uk if they want to, and then we can go from there. We've got some amazing lead ambassadors that have come on board, that are driving it and helping us shape it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the names popping up on social media, where they've been introduced.
Yeah,
it does look really interesting.
Well, and I'm a 54-year-old trans woman. I want something to be relevant for students. So
indeed,
I want them to create the vision of what they want it to be, and they're absolutely smashing it. And we've got
let's face it, they have more energy than we do. So
Well, do they? I'm not sure.
I'll speak for myself.
We've got the Student Ambassadors Day on the Thursday in Trans Awareness Week as well. So we've got a whole day of talks from organisations, talks from Trans in the City. We've got a celebration in the evening as well. So hopefully we'll get
So it's going to be November 13 to 17.
Yes, it will be. There's other events as well that will be coming out. So there's
all the information is going to be on your website. I think there's some already on there.
Yes, absolutely.
transinthecity.co.uk. Yeah. So one funny thing that happened in Trans in the City the first time I was there, 2021, was these.
Yes.
You remember these?
I do remember those.
The giant oversized
pins. So that's I blame entirely. This is our Spinal Tap moment, actually, and I blame entirely Kim Warren.
Just for comparison, here's a normal size one.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about normal and abnormal.
Sorry. Okay, here's a smaller one. Here's the one we ended up with.
Well, and actually, you know what? We got so many, and I still get
these will be collector's items one day, I'm sure.
They will be. They're absolutely worth pennies at the moment. I get so many requests still for the oversized ones.
I think have you ordered any for this year?
Because
I think you should go back to the big ones.
I think we should go back to maybe I'll have to run that past the media team and
And then there are these little pins.
Yes,
I picked up one of those at Chippenham Pride.
Yes, let's see the back. It's this is what does the back look like?
It's just a pin,
Metal. Oh, it's the metal one.
The metal one, yeah.
Second batch. Yeah, it's not.
I need to get a new one.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first batch had little black rubber pins on.
Ah, okay. And then there was these little things with, with the codes on the back.
Yeah, and you
Those are
can
really good.
you can go to our website actually for a whole load of merchandise. You can get like the
Yeah.
I stand with trans.
Yeah, I was just having a
Shirts,
having a look at
all
that.
of
There's a
those
little
things.
shop there. You can go and buy all kinds of things.
We've got some great things for merchandise coming through. So we started the I Stand with Trans campaign. I think 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago or so. I know there's another charity. I can't remember off for the life of me and the name of them. I have to look it up. I did reach out to them because they're fabulous. That did a stand with trans without knowing that we had our campaign. So I've been trying to see whether they want to join in with our one, but because we've got all our stuff printed. So we will be doing the I Stand with Trans, and we'll be having some nice enamel badges these days for allies in Trans Awareness Week
Yeah,
for
yeah.
allies. For trans people, we're also having another bit of a tongue-in-cheek campaign as well. So we'll be doing sort of the same sort of size enamel badges that just say "too cool to be cis." For
So
trans.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but when you do these events where you have all these tables with stuff on them,
Yes.
people walk around with bags and they collect this stuff.
Well, that's kind of the idea, but it's like um, we're not here to fill the world with rubbish.
No, but it's like I know, myself. I normally go attend these things with Jess and Nooms, Jess and Nooms,
yes, yeah.
and we all kind of collectively have a little tote bag with us, and we kind of go around and see what we can grab.
You're very welcome. It's like that. I one of the things that I do on Pride marches actually is take loads of the trans in the city badges, and
Yeah, I think it's
wherever I see a
hand
trans
them
flag,
out. Yeah,
wherever I see a trans flag when I'm marching, I'll go and give them a high five and a badge. So hopefully I can hand out the too cool to be cis badges now, which is going to be a little bit better. But
yeah,
it's important actually. So that's a handy tip actually. If you do want a high five from a 54-year-old trans woman, then fly a trans flag at London or Brighton Pride or any of the other 9 that I went to this year, and you
yeah.
can get a load of freebies from
Oh,
trans.
so you went to Brighton this year? I wasn't able to because I was at my niece's hen doing week in Liverpool.
Oh, it sounds messy.
It was very messy. Let's not go into details, but yeah, that
Yeah,
was the same weekend as Brighton. So how was Brighton? I know, the year I miss it, there's a huge fire and the route
yeah,
gets changed. So,
yeah.
obviously
I mean,
I
it
should
was
have been
just
there, but
yeah, absolutely. It was you know what? It was really hard. It was we started. It was storm whatever. It was like
yeah, there was some big storm coming in, wasn't there?
50-mile-an-hour winds belting down with rain. The sea was hitting the beach and
Mm.
spraying us as we were forming up on the front. We were at the front. So actually we were at the front of Brighton Pride and London Pride this year, which was amazing. But
So you were there as Trans in the City, not just
yeah,
as yourself.
yeah,
All right.
and yeah, walking down the promenade, trying to hold a banner up.
Yeah, in that weather would not
Trans
easy.
would trans people are loved. People. Jude's amazing campaign. It was really hard, and it got to the end, and my hands were blue, and I felt awful, and all the rest of the stuff. And but you know what? Out of I think all of the prides this year, I think that was one of the ones that really meant the most. So I think the people that showed up, and probably only about 25% of the people that said they were going to go actually showed up and marched in it. I think those are the people that really, really know what Pride's about.
I do remember seeing a picture of yourself and Oscar Hoyle, and
Yes,
you were both actually drenched through.
absolutely
Yeah.
drenched through. Yeah, Oscar was wearing a Trans in the City t-shirt that went translucent. He was doing a wet t-shirt competition all the way around. Funnily enough, he got more photos taken of him than I did. Really strange. Can't
Oscar is great.
He is amazing. They
Yes,
are amazing. Sorry.
they're amazing. Yes, indeed. Um, Also, I saw you earlier in the year at Chippenham Pride.
Yes,
So that you now live locally, I think, in that area.
I do live in Wiltshire.
Yeah. So this was the first time Chippenham had done a Pride, wasn't it?
It was.
So how just tell us how you kind of. I'm sure you were behind it.
You know what? I wasn't. I was on the committee, but I wasn't totally behind it. There's a great team of people that moved it forward. What I wanted to do, I spoke to them just when I moved sort of into the area, and they said that they wanted to do a pride. And I just wanted to, again, give them a shortcut, just help them out a little bit, and as much as I could. So yeah, I gave them a few tips and tricks. Trans in the City sponsored them and managed to get a few other bits of sponsorship for them as well. And we bought something that I've been thinking about for a long time to Chippenham Pride as a pilot, and that's the Trans in the City speaker stage. And the idea of the speaker stage actually is something that's really close to my heart. I think there's some prides actually, like Gloucester Pride, that get this absolutely right. If you want to see what a pride should be, go to Gloucester Pride, because they absolutely have it nailed. But prides shouldn't just be drag queens lip syncing on a stage and just loads of rainbow stalls selling merchandise. It's part of it, but
although that is really good,
it is really good, and it is part of it, but that's not pride.
No,
if you want to do that, don't call it a pride, call it a rainbow fete or a rainbow fun day,
a festival,
and that's fine, whatever you want to call it. But what needs to be part of pride is activists talking about issues.
Totally agree.
Explaining what needs to be done, educating people, and that's missing from so many prides. And that's what we wanted to do with the Trans in the City stage. So we piloted it at Chippenham Pride, and we had Lisa Power came from Pride Cymru, which was running on the same day. We had Michael Cashman, I had Peter Tatchell, I had H from Steps, I had Eva Echo, I had all of my directors, Sky, Emily there talking, and it was absolutely
Linda
wonderful.
Riley, she was there too.
Linda Riley was there as well. Absolutely.
And even Dawn Butler was in the audience out the back.
It was so many people turned up, and it was it's so important to hear those authentic voices, not just talking about what needs to be done, but also what has been done, the path that got us here, the situation we're in, what we need to do to go forward. So important. I think we had more and better caliber of speakers probably than any other pride in the country.
Well, if you think about it, you go to a small pride like Chippenham, it's not huge. No, I don't know how many people showed up, maybe a few 4,000.
Yeah, 4,000.
And it goes down the high street, lovely little town, goes down the high street, it's all like restaurants and coffee shops and things. And then, it ended up into a little field next to a river. And it was nearly nicely set up. There was all the like activities and stuff to do. Good day out for the family. But the fact that, at the start of the march, you had the hotel at the side where Trans in the City were doing the speakers stage. At what other pride would you be able to, of that size, would you be able to say that you've got people like Lisa Power, Lord Michael Cashman, Peter Tatchell, Linda Riley, Ian H. Watkins attending and giving speeches? I mean, it doesn't happen, does it?
No, but it's
totally unique. Like, you're not going to see that anywhere else, really.
Well, you won't have seen it anywhere else this year. Next year,
no, but I'm assuming it's coming.
We're going on the road with it,
Absolutely, it was absolutely brilliant. I did attend all the sessions.
Oh, yeah, I know you did.
Yeah,
but, it's important that and we could just take it to London and Bristol and Manchester Prides and all the rest of the stuff, but that's not where we need to take it. We need to.
But those huge prides don't need that support, do they?
They don't, exactly. And
these little ones do.
Exactly that, and it's twofold. The little prides do need the support, and half the the point of the Trans in the City stage is it doesn't cost these little prides any money. We donate to them, and then we arrange it, we bring it, we pay for all the speakers, everything. So we run the whole thing. So it's a value add for the prides. We give them all of the social media coverage that they wouldn't get. I mean, Chippenham, we had people come from Canada to see Lord Cashman. I had people emailing me, asking me if I could sort out their visa so they could come along. So
Well,
we're going to bring that. Hopefully, we've got a few prizes that we're planning on bringing it to this year. Gloucester, hopefully, is one of them. Cowbridge is one of them. Swansea, hopefully. So we need to bring these voices, and we want to bring these voices of proper activists to the places where they can really be heard and where we can really make a difference. And I think that's something I'm really excited about, actually.
It really was good, because I remember, listening to Lisa Power and Michael Cashman, around, how they set up and kind of, Stonewall and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that it was fascinating. And, they're right there in front of you answering these, you were hosting it, you were interviewing them.
Yes.
And it was really good, because I don't, it's like so unique. You're not going to see that anywhere, really.
I mean, I think that the getting them both on stage is
together at the same time to talk about that
really,
stuff.
really rare. I think it's only happened, a few times to talk about that. But they make it's so lovely when they get together as well, because they're almost like
it's like a double act.
It is. They're just like young activists again. And they've lost none of the fire.
It was really good.
So amazing. And then I love them so much.
And it was really nice to see Peter Tatchell there.
Yes, Peter's
amazing. Peter Tatchell. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix movie Hating Peter Tatchell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had Peter on the podcast since that Chippenham event, and he's got this such a powerful presence.
He has,
and this booming voice.
Yeah.
That he's really. When I was sat in that room, I thought he was really speaking directly to me, because you look at it, and you can you really get the message he's putting across. I mean,
he's so tiny as well.
He is.
He's so tiny, but he's just got. He's so tiny, but he's just a giant.
I mean, he's very tall and very skinny, but
he is. But he's just
what a character,
charisma. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it was great to see him there and being so supportive of trans issues. I thought that was really nice to see.
I've done a few events with him, and he is absolutely supportive of trans and non-binary people, like every other minority. He's so. Justice is so central to his core beliefs.
I think he's very principled. He has a lot of strong kind of principles, and he sticks to those principles. And the thing about Peter, I think, is that he when you see him on TV, on these kind of TV shows, the far right TV shows, let's call them, like Talk TV and those kind of things.
Yeah.
He sticks to his point, and he doesn't let anybody nudge him off his point, and he just keeps repeating it, and just he doesn't let anything affect him while he's doing his presentation.
He is absolutely, I think, the bravest person that I've ever met.
Yeah, and the sort of things that have happened to him when he's been doing his protests around the world.
Absolutely.
Horrendous.
And he is, I mean, it's not just that, he's just so open and brave to facing these people in their own arenas, and that's just huge bravery.
I mean, that time where he's getting beaten up, and I don't know,
twice by Robert Mugabe's henchman.
Yeah, Robert Mugabe's henchman. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, amazing. And then a third time to go and confront him. So amazing.
And then when we had Ian Watkins.
Ian with the impromptu dance.
With the dance lesson in the middle. That was really fun.
Yes, yeah. And again, he's such a solid supporter of trans and non-binary people. It's I think if you go and look up the YouTube footage, or if you were lucky to be there, you would have seen the most stunning show of trans allyship in Steps's set at Brighton Pride. It was stunning. Every trans and non-binary person I know that was seeing that was crying and in tears, because that's such a solid show.
I mean, and he's so well known,
and so well known, and he is just the loveliest person as well.
And the fact that Steps had refused to go to, was it Qatar? Dubai, was it? Yeah. Because of what's going on over there.
Absolutely,
really supportive.
He is. There's lots of celebrities that put themselves out as being trans allies, and I'm sure they are trans supportive, but allyship is doing something
It's
visible and
acting.
vocally and active. And that's why actually I think, at the moment I don't think there's a better trans ally in the celebrity arena
Well,
than
his personal story that he spoke about, is how he got to where he is, and
yeah.
the little dance show and the sing. It was great. Loved
He's
it.
such a lovely man. He's such a
And then Emily did a bit of a round table thing with Linda and Sky, and I think there was
yes.
two other people. I can't remember who they were now.
There was two amazing people. Actually, there was Tanya Levine from
Yes,
who's amazing, and Lucy Camper from Mind Out.
yes, yeah,
They were both absolutely amazing. But we also had Leng Montgomery down there, of course, which is
yeah.
which is really fabulous.
So I mean, if that's going to be, something that's going to be appearing at other prides,
it will be, and
happy.
watch this space. We have a few people that want to come and speak. Some amazing people that want to come and speak. So
You're working on a list of guests for that, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. We should come down and do one.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, why not?
Perfect. Well, there we go.
Put me on the list. I'm not famous, but as I said before, I'm infamous, but put me on the list.
I'm sure you're a lot more famous than you think you are.
So there was another funny thing that happened at last year's event. Now I'm not sure how much this cost Trans in the City, but when we were in the Winter Garden event during the ceremony, the awards scene, every few minutes there was a wine glass smashing on the floor.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
I was wondering, by the end of the evening, there must have been, I don't know how many broken glasses, but it was constantly people moving,
it was
knocking over, because they were sat in the chairs. There was nowhere to put your glass really, except on the floor.
The marble floor. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's wine glasses and marble floors.
It was like you could almost like time it when there's another one. There's another one. I think Emily was making a joke about it when she was on the stage.
Yeah, she was.
She was. So, first year we had the big badges. Second year we had the broken glasses. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you say that was actually the fourth and fifth years, but
yeah. So what happened? Did you have similar events prior to?
Yeah, we did
the
first sort of large event we did was at Clifford Chance, which was fabulous. There weren't any awards in that year, so the first year of awards were after the lockdowns, and that's something that I wanted to do for ages actually, but we needed to get to the size where
it's possible to,
Well, and as well as that, it's just where it actually meant something to somebody that trans in the city. It's it was just like, I think if we'd have done it before that, people would just gone, well, all right, whatever, But I think I think we kind of reached the stage where it kind of meant something.
I think you'd reached that kind of critical mass where people knew what Trans in the City was
exactly. The second one that we did was at the top of the Canary Wharf Tower on the 39th.
Oh, well, see, I'm learning something here.
Bad. So, and we did look about going back there this year actually, but there's a few challenges with the venues where they wouldn't they couldn't give us gender neutral facilities. So we're working on that. We'll look at it. But
and what was really nice about that, in that Canary Wharf area in the evening, I think during the whole week, some of the big bank buildings, they put the trans colours on the towers, don't they?
They do.
Light them up.
So yeah, Citibank actually, that was for our 2019 event. We actually we worked with City to get the trans colours on the top of the City building, and every year now they change it to those colours, and they actually had to change the lights and the software to get the right shades. So yeah, that was it's one of the things that's really lovely actually, is what some of the organisations have done. Metro Bank in 2019 put trans flag logos on all of their bank video screens across London. OVO Energy lighted up Wembley Arena for us. So the first time that was done was for Trans in the City in, I think, 2018 or 2019. And the great thing is, once they've done it, once they did it for us, now they do it for other things as well. So they do it for Lesbian Day of Visibility, and they do it for other things. So it's really lovely. And this year we had our logo on Piccadilly Circus and stuff like that, which is really stunning. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I bet when you started all this, you weren't expecting these kind of, collaborations at that level.
Well, you know what? It's one of my I guess I was going to say it's one of the good things about me, but it depends whether you're me or whether you're somebody else. I always think big, if you're going to go big or go home,
Yeah,
I remember
it's a
the
good phrase.
first year I was talking to the RAF trying to convince them to get a Red Arrows flyby in the day, which I'm still working on, and I'm still working on ideas. I'm not going to say what they are because I really like them being a surprise. I'm still working on ideas that will.
So the red arrows with the trans color smoke.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like that.
I like trans in the city to be. No, obviously there's a serious side to trans in the city. It's corporate collaboration. It's trying to make life better for trans and non-binary people, not just in.
So I think,
but around the world,
Yeah.
But
I mean, let me just read out what you've got on your website. I mean, it says Trans in the City is an open collaboration between global organizations, corporates, and companies raising awareness to help further the inclusion of transgender, non-binary, and gender diversity in business.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's your kind of core thing. That's what you're about.
Thing. But an important part of and it will be on our website somewhere, is that actually I want Trans in the City to be the least financially successful organization in the world. I want every single spare penny that we raise to go to trans and non-binary grassroots projects and people. And we've raised £475,000 in the last 5.5 years for charities and grassroots organizations.
That is an amazing
I'd like
achievement.
it to be a show as well. I've been a musician for like 40 years. I don't want people to come along to a dry corporate event. I want people to come along to it and think, wow.
Well, it's never dry. I can tell you that.
And that's very, very purposeful, So all of the things. I've got some great plans for our 10th anniversary already, actually. So
don't let the cat out of the bag just yet.
No, I won't, honestly, but it will be good.
So that collaboration and funding thing that we just touched on there, we've spoken about this in the past. I think a couple of years ago we were throwing around a bit of an idea about collaboration and how we can do it across the seas to Canada and the US.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a thing with that. I don't think it really went anywhere at the time because it's so difficult to do that. But and then to see how Trans in the City has kind of grasped hold of that and really. You remember that website where Trans Rights are Human Rights with all the company logos? It was around that time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that I mean, everybody thinks that Trans Rights are Human Rights campaign was Stonewall's campaign, but it wasn't. It was Trans.
Well, I think they tried to muscle it off you, didn't they? But anyway.
Well, yeah, it's probably a bit harsh, but
a bit harsh, yeah.
But I mean, the press releases just made it sound it was a Stonewall campaign when it wasn't that campaign. Yeah. But it was we're a global organization these days. We train in North and South America. We've done the Middle East and Far East. We work in Australia and everywhere there's a global corporate we work, So it kind of makes sense that we're already working properly up and down the country. And it just makes sense that we start doing events overseas. We came very, very close to running a New York gala this year.
Oh wow, that would be an amazing event.
Kick off in London on the Monday and close in New York on the Friday.
Wow. That's ambitious.
I think we probably will do it next year. I think we came so close to this year. So close to doing it this year. There's just challenges finding a space really, but we've got the Stonewall Inn is actually doing creating a national monument next door. So the second unit that used to be part of the Stonewall Inn became free at the end of last year, and they've actually bought it for a museum, so they're opening it up as a museum next year. So I think it'd be really lovely to do a New York gala and have a party at the Stonewall Inn. I think that would just be really
Wow,
meaningful.
can you imagine such a thing? That would be amazing.
It'd be fabulous, wouldn't it?
It would. So, collaboration and funding. So, little organizations, this podcast, for example,
Yeah.
Gender Nebulous. We've recently signed up with Rainbow Lottery. I had a chat with Tom
Amazing.
Gatos. He said, "Come on, sign up. You'll get some funding if people buy tickets." So,
Yes.
did a little podcast with him too. So that's coming out soon.
Amazing.
So, that's kind of like a really great source for small little organizations like me. It's just me and Frida to kind of do this.
Yeah.
Before that, I was doing it on my own. Yeah. And we need funding to pay for things like, running the website, running the podcast hosting site, a few other bits and pieces that you have to spend money on to,
yeah, absolutely,
bits and pieces. So if we can raise enough money through people buying lottery tickets or giving us tips on the podcast, because there is a way to tip us if you want to give us a nice tip.
Ah, perfect. There we
go. You can also sign up and listen to, some of the outtakes. I'm just trying to get a little bit of funding going so we can just pay for bits and pieces. It's not to make a profit. It's not to make a profit.
No.
It's and if we do have extra money left over, we would give it to some other small org, so they help them out. But in doing that, what I discovered was, one, it's really hard to open a bank account if you're a small organization with no structure.
It absolutely is.
It's very difficult to, get funding and get it moving, and that, so there's this collaboration thing where, these little orgs and then somebody like Transgender City, a bigger organization. I know you do a lot to help smaller organizations, and you've already spoke about how that money gets flown, down into those organizations to help them, which I think is amazing, but on the collaboration thing, I think that we need to do more. I'm not just talking about this podcast and Transgender City. I mean, like all organizations, we all need to work together more to promote each other, collaborate, work together. It's very difficult to do it and know how to do it. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on those topics?
The most important thing is that collaboration is a two-way street. I get so many people coming to me saying that they want to collaborate, whereas actually what they really mean is they want to use Trans in the City
to promote them
and get money from them. And it's like, well, and lots of times then, especially if it captures my imagination or my director's imagination, it's just like, let's do it,
Yeah.
But collaboration's a two-way street. There's so many times when, there's probably hundreds of times when we've helped other organizations get funding, do stuff, all of that sort of stuff, get promotion, get into a place where they can talk to corporates. And then they're in a situation where they could repay us, they could invite us to an event, or they could get us into something that would help us, and then they don't,
Yeah.
So collaboration needs to be a two-way thing.
It does.
Lots of the and this isn't just the LGBTQIA plus community, it's lots of other diversities. There can be lots of narcissism and lots of self-promotion where people are only interested on getting themselves up to the next step. And that's not collaboration. Collaboration.
Yeah, we've got to be clear what is self-promotion versus collaboration. Yes.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with self-promotion either, actually. But what you need to remember is once you've got up another rung of the ladder, turn around and hold your hand down and pull some other people up. If you manage to bash a door open and get in somewhere, hold it open so you get as many trans and non-binary people in there as possible. It's pointless, getting into like a political circle and then just having one voice there.
Yeah,
what we need to do,
could not agree more.
And get as many voices, as many people as you possibly can into all of those opportunities. And of course, with charities and other small organizations, that means you have to take a leap of faith that your funding stream is still going to be robust enough if you let other people in there.
Mm.
But the bottom line is that's part of collaboration as well, is ensuring that we're all there financially as well as being there in person. And that's, that's I guess Trans in the City reflects me a lot, actually. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's bound to, I'm the CEO.
Well, I mean, you're the
But
CEO, so yeah,
but
it's obviously it's going to do that.
I never wanted Trans in the City to be the Bobbi Pickard show, and I know it's just funny. It really surprises me because I get recognised at Prides these days, and people seem to be like genuinely like happy to see me, and I'm just like, oh, that's really weird. Like, how the hell do you know me? And I never wanted it.
Well, it comes with the territory of who you are, really.
Well, I suppose
CEO Trans in the City, you can't escape that.
no, but it's still a massive surprise to me because I didn't, Trans in the City. I'm more than happy to promote Trans in the City, but I'm not here to promote me. I'm not here to be. I never just wanted it to be the Bobbi Pickard show. I never really wanted Bobbi Pickard to be anything but hiding in the shadows, like pulling levers and stuff like that. So it does surprise me, but I guess because I'm like that, then I don't
No,
have.
but
I don't have
okay,
those
so you are
where I'm interested in promoting and then stopping anybody else coming forward. I'm more like, yeah, go for it. I don't want it. You do it. So
yeah.
So I think that works really well.
I mean, you are in a way the figurehead, the boss of the business,
Chief Witch,
destroyer of worlds. I mean, so you are in that role, and people are going to look up to you, and I think that kind of goes with it. But yeah, I love how you kind of get all the other people involved. Like if we look at the number of directors you have, I think there's like 17 or 18 of them all doing different streams.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's if you're going to work in an area of diversity, then the first thing you need to recognize is you need diversity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Diversity across the board. Yeah.
Absolutely. And and we still have, there's still some areas that I've really am absolutely dedicated and desperate to change in Trans in the City for greater representation of some. But and actually that in itself is a microcosm that sums up the discrimination that you see in business for trans and non-binary people, and trans and non-binary people of color, and trans and non-binary people with disabilities. It's just the fact that I can't find very, very few trans people of color or trans people with disabilities in business, in corporate, in a position.
Yeah, so it does reflect.
They're able to make a difference in those businesses.
Yeah.
And they have the space. The fact that I can't find those people shows how much of a headwind those people have. And that's actually one of the things that we're really going to spend some time with the student ambassadors, really trying to bring more help to those areas so we get those people into businesses and into corporates and into a position where they can be seen and they can be heard and they get a voice and they're able to be change makers. It's just so important to me. But you can't have an organization doing diversity if you just have one person running it and making the decisions and talking about it. So it would just be it would make Trans in the City a joke for me.
So do you see Trans in the City as more of a diversity, equity, and inclusion kind of business model? Is that more of what you think?
I mean, that's my day job. So yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
And Trans in the City itself is a collaboration. I mean, okay, I have me as CEO at the top. I actually, so I call myself Chief Witch because I'm a pagan. I call myself Destroyer of Worlds because an anti-trans person once told me that I should stop doing what I'm doing because I'm destroying the whole world. So anyway, that's my official title. But so you have to have one person being responsible for an organization, and that's fine. But the directors of Trans in the City, the executive directors and the other directors are all part of a collaboration. You know, I don't own Trans in the City.
No,
The city is owned by the directors, the executive directors, the allies. It's owned by our sponsors. It's owned by all of the amazing trans and non-binary members that we have. You know, we all have a voice in trans.
Yeah. And the army of volunteers in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's how you make a diverse organization. You run it as a collaboration. You have to make decisions, but you know, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, it needs a leadership. It needs a leadership for direction and what what you're going to do. But yeah, you can collaborate at the same time, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. And then activism and protest.
Yes.
So you know, we spoke briefly about talk TV, things like that. Those kind of TV shows. You know, my co-host Frida, she goes on those shows occasionally, and she gets criticized for doing it. I don't know if you've seen her on them, but she does. She gets criticized, and you know, I support her going on there, even though it's a really difficult thing to do. You know, it's very difficult. You know, Peter Tatchell, when he came on the pod, he said, yeah, you know, I go on those shows. I think it's good that you have the trans voice on those kind of shows, because if you don't, you know, you're allowing them to talk about stuff unchallenged completely. You know, even knowing the fact that if you do go on those kind of shows, that they are kind of using you in a way.
Of course, they're using
you know, to, I mean, you know, they do this kind of like this clash thing, and you know, it's like,
yeah,
so you know, as long as you're aware of that and you know what you're going into, and you, I guess you behave like Peter when you're in there, where you know, you stick to your points. I mean, I think it has value to do that stuff. I just wonder what you think.
I think yes, it has value. I guess it's one of those, it depends. I mean, I get asked, I probably get asked, I don't know, once a week, twice a week to go on like a show and talk. And I very rarely do it, because actually what I want to talk about, I'm not really interested in talking about trans women in sport. If you want somebody to talk about that, ask Verity Smith or ask Emily Hamilton, because they're the experts, you know. You know, if you want to talk about trans and non-binary inclusion in business, if you want to talk about trans and non-binary success, if you want to talk about how to really get inclusion working around the world for trans and non-binary people, I'm your girl. None of them want to talk about that at the moment.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing, isn't it? It's
so,
like
it's the topic, you know. If so, you know, and frankly, you know, because they'll always phone me up and say, you know, oh, the Telegraph's running this piece about, you know, some made up pile of rubbish that they've just fished out of some weird journalist mind. We're going to talk about it on the show, and it's just like, well, you know what? I just really can't be bothered, honestly. But
because, you know, Talk TV, GB News, you know, those kind of shows where they have, you know, LBC. I don't think they're ever going to change their kind of core beliefs.
They won't do. But it's, I mean, it is important to have trans and non-binary voices out there. But it's I guess it's first of all, make sure you know what you're bloody talking about.
Exactly.
You're going on there.
Second, fully aware.
Make sure that your resilience, your personal resilience, is absolutely cast iron and bulletproof.
Yeah.
And then secondly, make sure you've had some hostile interviewing technique training.
Exactly.
Those three, go and knock yourself out if you want to, you know. And
it is a hostile environment. I don't do it myself. Frida does.
Yeah.
I try and support her in the background, you know.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to do it. I just won't do it unless I see the actual, unless I see
the benefit.
Of what they're doing. If I see a benefit of what they're talking about.
I mean, there's so much better things to talk about, because it's not their agenda about what they want to talk about. Let's go and talk about what we want to talk about, you know.
Yeah, and frankly, I don't mind them talking. I don't mind talking about what they want to talk about, but most of the time, what they want to talk about is
just rubbish.
Just insignificant rubbish that I just honestly don't see the point in wasting my time when I could be wandering across the hills of Wiltshire with my little puppy, frankly.
Exactly. So, and then not having to deal with the fallout on Twitter afterwards.
Well, I've stopped using Twitter almost.
Yeah, well, I have too.
such a rubbish platform now. It's
So
just,
I think this this thing about activism and protest. I mean, the way I look at it is that we should all try and do what we're comfortable with doing. So if do what you can, do what you're comfortable with, because there's a lot of things that you might not want to do. You're not comfortable with. You're worried about how it's going to affect your job. How because these people, these negative people, will come after you and try and get you fired and all this kind of negative stuff.
They will do.
So
put some thought behind it.
Yeah.
Spend just a little. And I love activism. I've been doing activism since the late 90s. The early 2003 was the first time that I know I actually ran an introduction table for trans people for Club Angelic in those days in Pink Punter. So 2003, I know I was definitely doing activism, which is why I'm saying it's my 20th year this year. But I was doing it before then. It's just the first time that I can say, yes, I was definitely doing it. I love activism. I love protest marches. I love all forms of activism. I think they're absolutely a right that should be defended at all costs in this country, whether you agree with what's being protested about or not. I think it's so important, and I absolutely love it. There is nothing more than I love than going on a protest march for trans and non-binary people.
Yeah.
But have a bit of thought about what you're doing,
Yeah. Make sure it's planned.
I love the whole torches and pitchforks protests, but just have a bit of thought around what you're doing and what you're saying and how you're saying it.
So
Just because you're protesting against something doesn't mean you have to be horrible, doesn't mean you have to border on any form of violence, whether that's verbal violence or whether that's physical violence,
Agreed.
You can do your activism, you can do your protest in a way that's peaceful and meaningful and effective. And most of all, actually, if you're going to do activism, do it in a way that's mischievous.
Yeah, mischievous and fun is a great tool.
It's just brilliant. There is nothing better than doing a protest, doing something that's really effective, and then going away having a little snigger behind your hand, especially when nobody knows who did it.
Totally agree.
Things like whoever it was that took Posey Parker down from YouTube. I bet they were sniggering behind their hands when they did that. And what a fabulous thing.
Yeah, so Peter's approach to it was, he goes at it like a military exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
He kind of plans it out step by step, exactly what he's going to do. And the thing with Peter, he makes sure he's got the cameras there, so that the world is seeing what's going on. So
he's had 60 years practice.
He definitely knows what he's doing.
He does.
But I think, we should all do what we're comfortable with.
Definitely.
Maybe push the boundary a bit, but be careful out there because it can get
absolutely unpleasant. Be careful. Keep
and I totally agree with the fun side of things.
It's good.
One thing that Tom Gatos said was that you can be an activist or you can be a slacktivist.
Yeah, there's loads of people. There's loads of people that try to join Trans in the City just for the badge, and there's loads of people that say they're an activist for the badge, and actually I'm not really interested in those people. I like doers,
So don't be a slacktivist, be an activist.
Yeah. There's always that thing, because at the minute there's loads of attention given to ideologists, and you need ideology because you need to know where the utopia is that we need to head for. But utopianists don't actually get anything done. And it's the easiest thing in the world to sit on top of the hill and go, well, if it was like this, we wouldn't have a problem, And you get influencers that are just fairly vapid and don't actually do anything. There's no benefit really, and half the time they're flogging you stuff or being sponsored by companies, and they get loads of attention but actually do nothing. And then you actually have activists down up to their neck in the mud, shoveling, doing stuff that are mostly ignored, but they're the people that are getting stuff done, and they're the people that people really should be listening to. And then, of course, you have people standing at the side of the mud that say they're activists, but actually, you know, they've only just dipped their toe in. They're not actually really doing a lot. But
yeah. So we all need to do a bit more, I think.
get a shovel out.
Get a shovel out. Yeah, get a shovel in.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we look at the state of the UK at the moment with the government and the media, it's, you know, all this anti-trans nonsense that's being, you know, goes on.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever been under such pressure and stress as a community.
Mm.
You know, what would your message be to that community at this stage? I know, you know, what I say is things will get better. We need to keep fighting. Don't give up. What is your message?
You know, I think the message, you know, I think that keep fighting and don't give up is an important one. But the most important thing to remember is that you're amazing. You know, trans and non-binary people are among the most amazing, resilient, fabulous people that I've ever met, with such insight into life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't forget that. Don't lose that spark in you that's so special just because there's so many people trying to blow it out. Just look after yourselves, keep that spark burning, and it's not going to be long before you can really let that spark out again for everybody to see, and we can just turn it into just the wonderful flames that you all are. Just remember that you're loved.
Perfect. Couldn't put it better myself. Thank you. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you again, as usual. Thank you for coming on and doing this.
It's so special to be here again, Vicky, and
It's lovely to be able to do this, isn't it? It's like, you know, we have a chat and then we come back 2.5 years later and we just catch up. I think it's great.
Let's book it in for probably
see you in 2 years.
Yeah, series 4, series 3, episode.
Yeah, we'll keep doing it as we progress.
Brilliant. Thanks, Vicky, so much.
Yeah, so I will definitely be down there in London in November to, you know, take part.
You will, absolutely. Yeah, you better be. Otherwise, we'll have to come and drag you down there, won't we? So.
Yeah, you won't be able to keep me away, so I'll be there. Don't worry.
Amazing.
So I'll sign us off there. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Say bye to our lovely listeners and watchers. Please come back, listen to us again. There'll be another bad episode along soon. So, and thank you to Bobbi Pickard. Thank you very much. See you all later. Bye for now.